How's it? I'm Alex McCauley.
And I'm Max Fosberg.
There he is. And this is Excuse the Intermission, a discussion show surrounding our favorite films of 2025 thus far. This year's releases have carried some interesting themes, and the box office has certainly shown trends when it comes to what folks want to see in theaters currently. Max and I will dive into that, discuss the highlights, and look forward to the remainder of the year, which still holds some heavy hitters. That conversation up next on the other side of this break. All right, Max, it's a beautiful sunny Thursday morning here in the Pacific Northwest. It looks like you have your fair share of sunshine down there in Los Angeles as well. How are you doing today?
You know, there's nothing I love more than a
Whoa,
morning
here we
pod.
go. Big
There's
start.
nothing I love more than a morning pod. So,
I do know this about you. A
yeah.
morning matinee. How about a morning pod following a morning matinee?
Oh, that'd be absolutely perfect.
That's the best right there.
Um,
That's living.
yeah. But yeah, man, things are good. Yeah, California's sunny every day, and so I'm trying to battle the sunlight in my office here, but as you can see in the what is that? The left corner, or I guess maybe the right corner. It depends how you're watching it.
Stage right.
Yeah, stage right. Still got some rays coming in, but things are good. Things are good. Gosh, I can't believe we're halfway through the movie year.
Yeah, and I mean, really, we're at the end of July. We've seen like 7 months worth of releases, and now I think you and I will both admit that we've probably procrastinated on some movies. This last week was able to circle back and visit a few of those. A lot of heavy hitters, as I said in the intro, still to come, and so we can talk about this at the end, but I don't expect my top 5 to look a whole lot the way it does today, say in like late December.
Mm.
But we can get to that once the time comes. I do sort of want to start by talking about just the box office this year, though, and the themes that we have seen as far as like big theatrical releases, because not that many of these movies are going to make our top 5 lists personally, but like we keep, just a little peek behind the curtain. Max and I keep talking about when are we going to have to do an animated films episode, because this year has been dominated at the box office. And now you can say that that's not too big of an outlier, going back to the heydays of Disney and Pixar and everything that's happened in the 21st century with animation. But I'm just really impressed that film after film that comes out from the different animated studios, it's like it's an easy ticket to $400 million worldwide, it seems like these days.
Yeah, the youth love the theater. Uh,
The kids
I
are all right.
the kids are all right, right? I mean, yeah, kid movies are evergreen, much like maybe a horror genre.
Mhm, mhm.
But yeah, animated films continue to dominate. Whether it's 2025 or 2005, I think kids entertainment will always live on, no matter what the theater situation looks like, 10 years from now. With some of these other like more adult films, event films are children films, kid films.
It's very true, and I think I speak for you too on this. I love the diversity that we're seeing too. It's not just one studio monopolizing the corner. And if you actually look at Pixar's release this year, Elio, that movie really underperformed, especially in comparison to some of these other movies that we're sort of talking about here, like How to Train Your Dragon, Lilo and Stitch. The Minecraft movie is like a hybrid animation live action film. All of those films, not produced by Disney, have crushed it. I mean, Lilo and Stitch, obviously Disney, but have crushed it this year. And so I don't know. We have The Bad Guys 2 coming out next week. We'll see what that movie does at the box office. And
Never
then
saw the bad guys one.
no, double feature incoming. And so I think we will have to really pay attention to that box office response there, and then seriously consider some sort of, because I feel like really ever since the pandemic is when we saw this. That was like the one thing that I think families realized they missed the most was the
Mm,
ability to get out and take their kids and their families to to the theaters. And ever
yeah,
since we've returned to full capacity and everything else, you're right. It's been evergreen, but in a way we've never seen before, I feel like. So further examination, I would say to that. And then what do you have to say for the franchise IP superhero genre from 2025? Because from someone who is completely on the outside looking in and has not seen a film like Superman yet, or Fantastic Four, or Thunderbolts I still haven't seen. Are we back in a way, not that like we would ever get back to phase 1 or phase 2 or phase 3 of the MCU, but it feels like every time I log on to Letterboxd, I'm seeing another 4-star review for one of these
right.
movies. So have we kind of, the movie going public, the critics out there, have we scratched and clawed our way back to a place where these are decent fanfare, fun times at the movies again?
Okay, so I have not seen Fantastic Four yet, so I cannot speak on that. But talking about the Thunderbolts and Superman, which are two films I did go out and see. I think Thunderbolts was kind of a, hey, we're gonna go back to like the street level style of a Captain America, Winter Soldier, or a um, even kind of the first Spider-Man in the MCU, which I can't even remember what that's called. I think Homecoming. Um, I feel like they have found a little bit. Marvel's found a little bit of their groove back. I've heard it's so interesting. People I really really respect on the internet who talk about movies. I've heard trounce Fantastic Four and say it is a complete nothing burger. It is bland. It is um it looks like TV. The writing is bad. The characters are boring. The stakes are no good. Yet the audience reaction seems to really enjoy it. So until I see that film, I don't know. I never felt, even from every trailer I saw, I never felt excited for Fantastic Four, and it seemed like, again, another step backwards for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Switching over to Superman, which is just like a brand new flavor of that DC movie style, right? Like we had the Zack Snyder stuff, which again very divisive. Whether it was it was too hardcore, too metal, too sad, too dark, compared to what this is, which is very pop and very bright and very
And to
sunny.
be fair, that's what James Gunn billed this as. This is like the pillar of the
Totally.
James
And he
Gunn
did
DC
that with that
universe.
Suicide Squad movie he did
Right.
years ago, right? And he did that with the Guardians movie. That's his style. So and people have responded well to that, but then there's also a lot of chatter online that it's like it's woke Superman, or
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's too kiddie now. So I don't know. I really don't know if we're back or not, or if like both companies have just kind of like gone back to safe spaces to where they as much as we don't like the Zack Snyder stuff, like he was at least taking a swing and like doing something different. And which is weird to come out of my mouth because I hate the Zack Snyder stuff. But he was he had a vision, and you can tell when you're watching a Zack Snyder movie. James Gunn is kind of the polar opposite, and he does have a vision as well, but it also, I keep telling people, the Superman movie is a good Superman movie. I don't know if it's a good movie. I don't
Mm.
think it's really a good movie. I think it's a good Superman movie, compared to what we've had in the past, whether you're looking at Christopher Reeves or even the Superman Returns from the mid 2000s. Like I think it's better than those packaged Superman movies, and better than Man of Steel. But is it a movie that like you know, would go on an all-time list for 2025? Probably not.
Interesting. And then I don't know, there's the other side to that coin of franchise IP, like Mission Impossible, and we have seen it in the horror genre a little bit. Megan 2, Final Destination Bloodlines. We had a I Know What You Did Last Summer reboot that just came out a couple of weeks ago. How do you feel like those films have landed with the public?
Well, I feel like, looking at my list for top 25, for me personally, some big franchises have really uh, hurt this, or have really sputtered
Mm,
into release this year. Mission Impossible 8, I'm still on my hill saying that that
not
movie
good.
not good.
Yeah.
Not a good Mission Impossible movie, and just like a overcom just overcomplicated movie to begin with. Something like 28 years later. Not a huge fan of that movie. Uh, I think there were some good things in it. And then something like Jurassic World Rebirth, which I just thought was really, really tired and bad. So maybe some of those big franchise IPs, hopefully, I think Mission Impossible is done. I think we will have to wait for Tom Cruise to, um, be 6 feet under before that comes back, and
Or
then
at least just physically unable to perform the way that he feels like Ethan Hunt needs to act.
yeah, I have no idea what that franchise does. But I feel, you did 8 movies. You controlled, from 2006 to 2025, you were a huge commodity.
Mhm.
Like let put it to rest. And maybe if you want to bring it back in 10 years and Tom Cruise is like the guy in the chair, he's or
Sure.
Ethan Hunt has become the overseer of the IMF, and like he can just kind of like tell people what to do.
What if
That would
Tom
be
Cruise
great.
goes on to win, like, 5 Academy Awards, and they're all for stunt coordination
Um,
once he hangs up acting and that craft category gets recognized? Wouldn't that be something?
and then yeah, Jurassic World, again, Rebirth. I just think just such a tired franchise, with the same plot every single time we're in that world. So, and even like, yeah, I don't know, even
Can
something like
can
the
I can
Phoenician Scheme too, which
Yeah.
is not franchise, but it is kind of like it is a franchise, right? It's the
It's
Wes
the Wes
Anderson
Anderson IP.
universe.
Yeah,
And
universe, yeah.
even that, like, is extremely tired and really low on my list for a Wes Anderson movie.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like this year specifically, and I've only seen 28 new releases, which is I feel like low at this point of the year,
I was looking at both of our
compared to
letterbox
past
stats. I
years.
think over the last 4 years, this is our lowest production up till this point.
Yeah, but I feel like this year
Which is
I've been
fine. Hey, good for us.
right. We're outside more. That's great. But I also think this year I've been a lot more attracted to the smaller movies, the character study movies, the movies that have something a little bit more to say than dinosaurs and hanging off planes.
I
So
I will say I really hope. I mean, when we were 15 years old, there was a Mission Impossible and a Jurassic Park movie out there for us. When we were
true.
35, it's the same thing. I really hope that when we're 55 and in 20 years, we're not talking about another Jurassic Park movie, another Mission Impossible movie. It is
Oh
time to
my
put these
god.
franchises to
Yeah.
bed.
Yeah, and not to say that there aren't big movies in my top 5. I mean, two of the movies I think are two of the biggest movies of the year and huge
Mhm,
blockbusters.
mhm,
And I think, but also I think they're also original. There's no repeat IP in my top 10. Looking at it right now, right? There's no IP. Everything's an original story.
mhm.
Um, Everything is pretty yeah, I would say adult, right? We're PG-13 or higher, I feel like. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think I hope there is a rebirth of these original stories, and I just want to. I kind of want to start championing, the original stuff more. Even though I know we want to be on the cutting edge of movie talk and all that, but
I mean, I hear exactly what you're saying because just from my day to day life, and I'm not sure what the discourse has been down there, but the movie that I've had the most people organically come up and talk to me about this year, by far, without a doubt, and maybe that's just because I was really active. We had like our annual golf event here up here this last weekend, playing pickleball a bunch, just like being out, being social. Everyone wanted to talk about Happy Gilmore 2. And they even asked, like, are you going to do an episode on Happy Gilmore 2? But I think that's a really good reflection of like maybe, and I think you and I, we struggle with this all the time where it's like what we should be talking about versus what we want to be talking about.
yeah,
Right. Because like, I think I saw something that Netflix published and now their numbers are so arbitrary, but it was basically saying that Happy Gilmore 2 was the streaming service's biggest release over its opening weekend, where like 46 million people, maybe that was the number, tuned in to watch Happy Gilmore
the Sandman, dude.
the weekend it dropped. And we love Adam Sandler, right? And maybe this is going to be maybe it is the one of the most talked about movies of the year, but it's just something that I have zero interest in dedicating, time in my personal life to watch and or time on this podcast to end up talking about. And so, but I'm right there with you because like the movies that I have here in my top 5, I can't wait to discuss them more and give them their 15 minutes of fame.
Well, it's funny too because so last week I fired up Happy Gilmore,
Mm-hmm.
kind of in anticipation of Happy Gilmore too,
Sure, sure.
and because somehow Kaylee had never seen that movie, which is just a crime on humanity because
As a child of the 90s, that's inexcusable.
she was howling. I mean, she loved it, and that movie has real power even now. What 40, 30 years? 30 years? 30 years later, like that movie is fucking hilarious in all the right ways. And I think we got to the end of it, and I just kind of like subconsciously was like, I don't want to watch the second one. Like
Mm,
this doesn't
4 hours in this world would be a lot.
well, and it doesn't call for a sequel. Like what?
Yeah.
Like there's just it's just gonna put stink on that original brilliant movie. And so, and I know, Sandman loves to make movies with his friends, loves to get big checks
Mhm.
from Netflix, which is awesome. And like he got to hang out with a bunch of golfers. He's a big sports guy. Got to hang out with a bunch of golfers. He got to, you know, uh, go to really nice courses, I'm sure, which he probably didn't get to do in the original one. The original one, I think it all takes place in California in the movie, but they shoot everything in Vancouver. Or I think it's like it's set in San Francisco. And it's so funny to watch some of these when they're on the courses because it's so like just blatantly the Northwest,
Yes.
which is up in BC, in Canada, and like it's supposed to be San Francisco, and it's so funny to watch that now. But um, specifically the Bob Barker bit, uh, that is supposed to be in like the heart of San Fran, and it's just like they're out in the wilderness on the in BC, right? Like it just but anyways, yeah, I don't know. That I still haven't checked out Happy Gilmore 2. I probably won't, to be honest.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, those original Adam Sandler movies do almost feel like independent films now compared to the stuff that he's making
Totally.
for Netflix and for the different streaming services now. Okay, so let's get to our top fives. You sort of discussed the trends and the themes, the things you've been responding to this year. I'll ask you this: was there anything was there anything that has made your list today that really surprised you when you watched it, or are the films that are on your list movies that made it there, that earned their way there because they lived up to some sort of expectation that you had?
I think 4 of the top 5 were movies I was highly anticipating, and was pleasantly, um, uh,
Relieved.
relieved and surprised that they're good. Maybe number 3 I wasn't anticipating as much, but still, had my eye on. I'm surprised number 5 has stuck at number 5. Um, but then again, after, actually sitting down and thinking about it, like, duh, it's there. Um,
Mm.
I think I know we're not going to go into the whole top 10, but
Sure.
I think the more interesting is like the 7 through 10
Couple
movies.
of honorable mentions. We can get to them.
Yeah, yeah. Some that have held. I think one movie, and I'll just talk about it right now. In honorable mentions, like, I'm surprised Mickey 17 has. I feel like that movie has grown,
Mhm.
since seeing it in March, and has stuck at my number 7 spot. Like,
Interesting.
and the more and more I think about that movie, I just I tend to like it more. Now, granted, I haven't given it a rewatch. I haven't fired it back up, but
Mhm.
um, I think compared to some of the other stuff that has come out, like, it's a big original science fiction story that's got humor and satire, also some action. Robert Pattinson in the middle of it. Like, I just I feel like it's a just a really good movie that, again, will continue to grow, in stature as the years go on.
Maybe be reclaimed down the road.
Absolutely, I think so. Much kind of like Okja, right? I feel like Okja was a little, like, met with,
It's kinda
uh,
maligned.
yeah, met with so reviews, but, like, the years since, like, it's just been more poignant, and it's really hard to call those kind of movies, but again, I think Mickey 17, you're gonna watch that in 5 years and be like, oh, I see now what he was doing here,
Mm,
and yeah,
interesting.
it totally works. What about
Yeah,
you?
I would say that for mine, I have I have one film in particular that I was anticipating and that, like, much like you, I was pleasantly, appreciative of how it lived up to the expectations and that, it delivered everything that I hoped that it would deliver. Another one I was maybe a little pessimistic going into, and because there was so much hype already, I had my guard up a little bit, and that movie, even if it underdelivered in some aspects, and I'll get to that here in a little bit, it was still undeniable how great this film was. And then the other 3 are complete one I was anticipating, a smaller movie though with like less in the margins to kind of gamble with, and so low overhead with that one, but that has stayed in my top 5 all year. And then 2 other films are international movies that I just had no idea about going into this year, and so
Mm,
was just completely caught off guard and pleasantly surprised by those. So uh, quite the mixed bag in my top
yeah.
5 right now.
Do you think, I know at the top you mentioned we are gonna look forward
Hmm.
to some other releases still to come, and you do think that there's still a big shakeup to come in your top 5?
There is, and now that's just because some of the names, that I'm staring down the barrel at. Like, we have a Park Chan-wook film to come this year. Jim Jarmusch is going to be releasing a movie. Obviously, Paul Thomas Anderson. So, like, and those are just the 3 that come to mind right away here. I mean, there's a lot of room for some movement here. That's how I feel, at least. And now that's not to say that those are going to be automatic top 5s. Maybe they're top 10s and some of these movies stick around, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's so exciting. Hey, we still have half a year, and there. I mean, if you pay attention to, the festival lineups,
Mhm.
news, like, I think you and I do, like, there's so much still to come, and I do. I also agree. I think there is a shakeup to happen still. I think there are plenty of movies. As long as you go out and like dig for them, there's still plenty out there. Because honestly, when I'm also looking at these 28 films that I've seen this year, I other than the top 5, I don't know if I would want to own much of it, right?
I y- where we have that mind meld going on, because that's the first place where my thoughts went, where it's like, okay, I don't own any of these yet on Blu-ray. Which ones will I want to go after?
Yeah.
And as of right now, I mean, I've had the opportunity to cop one of these and just haven't yet. And that's because honestly, I've heard that it's a pretty bare bones physical release, but at least there is a
Mm.
physical release of it. But like my number one movie, I will definitely look to own
Yeah.
on physical once it comes out.
Yeah, I think
Um,
the top 2, definitely wanna try
yeah.
and get.
All right, well let's dive into it. I'll go first here. My number 5 favorite film of the year is from director Sean Byrne, and it is called Dangerous Animals. This movie is out of Australia. This movie actually premiered at Cannes, and that I say that with a little bit of shock and awe, because once I begin talking about this movie here, you're going to be like, "Are you sure that played at the Cannes International Film Festival, one of the most prestigious events in all of cinema?" Yes, this serial killer shark movie played at Cannes, and those are two separate distinctions within the film. The sharks are more used as accessories to murder for this serial killer, played by Jai Courtney, who's just incredible in the film. And he is this cat and mouse serial killer that takes tourists, ideally for him, young women, out on his shark touring boat, which is, of course, haggard and seen better days. But that's kind of what I love about this movie, is that it has that almost like backwoods, you're lost in the wilderness feel to it, even though it's on the ocean primarily. But it feels a little bit like you're at the slaughterhouse in Texas, or you're like you're watching Wolf Creek, maybe, is kind of the vibes you get, where it's scary, but it's also a tiny bit playful. This movie is actually very playful. And so it stars this young actress, Hassie Harrison, who is like a revelation in the movie. She's so good as the finals girl. And she's kind of giving a little bit, she's a surfer, and so it's hard not to draw comparisons to like a young Blake Lively in The Shallows, not only because of their physical appearance, but also because of the shark aspect of the film. But it's just a tight runtime. It's really smart on the restraint for the shark reveals, where it really is more about the interpersonal relationship of our serial killer and his victims. And then when it's time for showtime and he goes out at night, and oftentimes there's two people on the boat at once, and so he'll lower the first victim right above the water, throw chum in the water, get the sharks in a frenzy, and it just builds really fun tension. It's got a great style, it's got a lot of confidence. Sean does, as a director here, a lot of confidence in shooting this film. So it's available on Shudder. It completely surprised me. I heard good things about it coming out of Cannes, lived up to the hype, and it's an easy recommendation.
Love a good shark movie. This has been on the watch list. I got to sit down and commit some time to it. Yeah, sharks, another evergreen genre. Shark
I was
movies.
gonna, when you were like, "There's no IP in my top 5," I'm like, there really isn't in mine either. But sharks are just like, when done right, it's so funny, because you talk about like Jurassic Park earlier, and we've seen in recent history with a film like, say, 65, that if you do dinosaurs and you don't somehow have, a generational talent like Steven Spielberg behind the camera, chances are you're just going to be compared to a Jurassic Park movie. And so then us, as like, say, if you're a dinosaur fan and you want to see more dinosaur movies, you're kind of stuck in this terrible limbo of like, well,
Mhm.
all I have to look forward to are Jurassic Park movies, because
Right.
nobody has the gusto to go out and make another dinosaur movie in fear of comparison. Same with pirates, I would say. Ever since the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise hung it up, we really haven't gotten another fun, swashbuckling, high seas adventure movie with pirates. And I think it's for the same fears. When it comes to sharks, you would expect, because of Jaws and the impact that movie has had for over 50 years, 60 years now on cinema, that it would be the same thing. But it's really not. Like sharks, you can keep going back to that well, and you can keep finding. My favorite thing about it is you keep finding new ways to tell a shark story. You could do the found footage version, almost like, not that it's necessarily found footage, but something like Open Water, where it's really stripped down and independent. You can do something like The Shallows.
Castaway, which is The Shallows.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And now Dangerous Animals, where it's a really fun new wrinkle where it's like, what if a crazy man out on his shark touring boat was actually a serial killer, and all he was trying to do was lure people out there so that, and again, like, of course he is the one killing them, but the sharks do all the dirty work. So it's a great movie. Dangerous
Jurassic
Animals.
Park should be going down this same route. Where's our Castaway Jurassic Park? Where is our serial killer Jurassic Park?
Yes. Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
it just stuck to the Jaws format since 1993, and that's the problem. That's the problem. That's why.
Guess where
like
we're going?
Dangerous
We're
Animals-
going back to the island.
Yeah, and we've got kids with us.
Yeah.
Like it's the
Oh,
same.
and that dino DNA, we still need more.
Still need more. This time it's going to cause or save dementia or whatever, like yeah, shark movies. I think that's why it's a perfect example.
Yep.
Because they reinvent, or they do different genres. They do different styles. Like Jurassic Park should be doing that as well. My number 5 is a movie from a little filmmaker named Steven Soderbergh, who just makes 9 movies a year every year since 1988, and it's called Black Bag. And this is by far like the slickest, coolest, probably most professional movie I've seen this year. It's a spy thriller with Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchett, Pierce Brosnan. It's just a great adult contained thriller that keeps you guessing throughout. It's beautifully written. It's beautifully photographed. There's a couple scenes like when they're at this dinner party where Soderbergh is playing with the lights and experimenting with the lights in camera, and stuff he's never done before, right? And like that's just amazing for a filmmaker of his stature, his prolific nature, to still find new things to do within the frame is fantastic. And Fassbender is someone I've always like really tried to champion, even though he tends to do these odd roles. And again, like much like The Killer a couple of years ago, he is very like monotone, stripped down, has no personality in this movie. But honestly, that's like when he's at his best.
Yeah, I agree.
He is so stoic and doesn't have to do much with the material he's given. Cate Blanchett is just, she's just on another level. She can take any material and heighten it. And it's very much a cat and mouse, mystery movie that is Soderbergh kind of playing on the tropes of a James Bond, right? Like it's kind of his James Bond movie. And so just really, really love it, from one of our best. And so you love to see him continue to make quality films. And I will say, he has another movie in my top 10 because he's Steven Soderbergh, and he does multiple movies in one year, and which is a very different style of movie from Black Bag. But again, Black Bag is just like one of the most polished professional movies I've seen this year, and that's why it's on my top 5.
It's a great endorsement. My number 4 is Sinners, and I assume that this is on your list as well. So we table this, I think.
Sure. Yeah. We can table it.
Okay. So then keep it going. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Friendship,
Okay.
which again, like a movie that a smaller movie, one that was anticipating a
Mhm.
lot, and was just I was worried, like right before the lights went down in the theater, I got really worried, like, oh no, what if this is like too much? But Tim Robinson, his style of comedy is just it's crack to me. So it is just so brilliantly like satirical, uncomfortable, cringy, real. Like the and this movie is about it's about Tim Robinson and Paul Rudd, two guys that live on the same street, that meet and strike a friendship up, and then that friendship deteriorates very, very quickly. And I think it has a lot of anxiety pumped into it about, male making friends as a male in your 30s or
Yeah,
40s.
yeah.
And it is, I just think Tim Robinson is brilliant. And Andrew DeYoung is the writer director. And when he wrote this, I don't think he wrote it for anyone other than Tim Robinson. You worried that his sketch comedy style would not translate to a full feature length film, but this movie is so like wild and outrageous and takes such weird turns throughout that if you're willing to go along with it, I think it's an extremely enjoyable watch, if not like just a incredibly uncomfortable one. Um, and I think that kind of comedy needs to be propped up more in a time when like comedy doesn't really have a standing right now, right? Like
Right.
this cringy, uncomfortable style is a style I really, really enjoy. So Friendship is awesome. And I saw it at the Vista on 35. I sat next to a comedy writer who, like, we struck up a friendship, and then, of course, we haven't hung out since, but because of the themes of this movie. So yeah, it's just it's really good stuff. And yeah, I highly recommend it.
My number 3 is a movie that's been in my top 5 all year long, and that's Companion by director Drew Hancock. Um, Sophie Thatcher, I've been a really big fan of hers ever since season 1 of Yellow Jackets, and she's only continued to work towards that max contract deal. She is really capable, I think, of MVP level performances, and I can't wait to see where her career goes. I love that she's staying in the thriller genre for the most part, with something like this and Heretic recently, and of course the fame from Yellow Jackets. But I could see her being a serious dramatic actress for years and years to come. So I
Mm.
have to like this recommendation and this movie's impact on me kind of, it starts and ends with her because she carries the whole thing. But also there's this quality to the film that feels like it's perfectly nestled in between the serious of something like Ex Machina from 10 years ago or so,
Mhm.
and then something like Megan more recently. And I really don't want to spoil too much of the film. This movie's widely available. I think it's on HBO right now for folks to stream at home. But it definitely is playing with our current reality of AI and everyone's different relationships with dating and dating apps and trying to find love in a futuristic world, if you will. But I mean, this harkens back to something like the Stepford Wives. Like we've seen this on screen for a really long time. So I love this movie because it's not too self-serious, but it's also not too campy as well. Like the
Mm.
violence in this movie is still pretty awesome. It's just that it's that perfect tone that really keeps you hooked and engaged over a runtime, which is great. It's under 2 hours. It just delivers exactly what it promises while still kind of keeping you guessing. And there's some scenes that get really tight. And it was the first movie I saw in theaters this year, and so I love a good don't be worry release that just catches you off guard and surprises you. And so Companion's been one that's stayed with me all year long. Really, really like this movie.
Yeah, again, another film that like I just it's on the watch list and I just got to sit down and watch
I
it.
wish you had more time.
I wish I had more time for sure. But yes, something I will watch before the end of the year. My number 3 is probably my favorite theater experience of the year, which plays a huge role in the
It does.
enjoyment of these films.
100%.
This was a packed theater on a Friday night over at where were we? I think we went to AMC Burbank for this, but it's F1,
Mm.
and this is the big, loud blockbuster of the year that I've really, really enjoyed. That I mean, other than my number one, of course, but yeah, F1 is again not really reinventing the wheel per se. I've heard a lot of talk where it's like, yeah, it's Top Gun Maverick and with four wheels, which it very much is. It's a sports movie. It plays all the tropes. We had a whole episode on that with Marcus. But man, it is just a thrilling experience on the big screen. And what Joseph Kaczynski is able to do with cameras and building new types of cameras and um, placing them in interesting places on these vehicles to capture the actor actually driving the car and being in location at the races and to have someone like Brad Pitt in the middle of your film, even though he says maybe 19 lines in the whole movie, still extremely charming and watchable. Like it's just in a world where we don't get a lot of big sports movies that much anymore. I feel like this has really taken the mantle as like probably the best. Is it the best sports movie of the 21st century? Um, and
I would say that there's something special about, I think that I think the easiest way to make a comparison, like what you're doing right now with F1 is like when you order a cheeseburger at a restaurant and it's still a great tasting cheeseburger, like that's to be admired,
yeah,
because so many people can do it wrong, get too cute, try to do something different. This movie doesn't really try to do anything different aside from the nuances, the fun things that you're talking about, like camera placement, the sound design. And of course, that has so much to do with technology and everything just getting
yeah,
bigger and better and louder and more high def. But that's a marvel of a cinematic achievement to pull it all off and not have it feel cliche in a way that is boring, because this movie's 2.5 hours long. And I would argue that it is the most digestible, fast, no pun intended, but like runtime of the year for me. Like this
totally.
movie flew by.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, F1 to me is kind of the king of the summer so far.
Mm.
And I don't know if it will be knocked off by anything.
Okay, so my number 2 is going to get interesting here. My number 2 favorite film of the year is from director Paolo Sorrentino, and it's called Parthenope. This is a movie that's been on my watch list ever since I saw A24 was going to distribute it, coming out of Italy. Paolo Sorrentino is a director that I am completely unfamiliar with. This is my first movie of his. He's directed other things, The Great Beauty, The Hand of God, this movie called Youth. He did the miniseries that I believe was on HBO or maybe Apple with Jude Law called The Young Pope. He's very, very interested in his home country of Italy with themes of religion and guilt and sexuality and repressed emotions, remorse. And these are all things, if you've been listening to the show for the last 4 years, that I'm super into, and find very, very interesting, especially in an international filmmaker who has just grown up in a different culture than us, right? And I think that there's quote unquote different rules in different countries. You know, the French make their films different than the way the Italians make their films, which is different from the way that the Germans make their films, which is certainly different from the way that we make our films, you know, here in America. And so I love to see all of that. And so this movie, Parthenope, blew me away first off because of how stunning it looks. Like, it is the most beautiful movie that I have seen all year. Not to sound cliche, but every single scene looks like a painting. We are in Naples. We're on the coast of Naples. And so you can just imagine like the sun bathing everything, these beautiful blues and reds and yellows. It is striking how pretty this movie is. It is also anchored by an actress who I believe was making her debut. Her name is Celeste Dalla Porta, and she is one of the most incredible. Like, she's breathtaking. I'm sorry, but she's breathtakingly beautiful, and
Speechless.
it's so perfect because Parthenope is the name of a siren from Greek mythology that would lure sailors to their death out in the open ocean, out in the sea. And so it works so well because this story, it is a coming of age movie about this woman who has this incredible beauty, and she is aware of her beauty, but she is told throughout the movie that has a 2 hour long runtime that she is so mysterious, and that she is such she is so rare in her beauty and in her personality because she doesn't use it for gain. And now, in her opinion, in her view, she understands her beauty, but she's also like an academic. This movie's all about anthropology. She really, really, really wants to become an anthropologist and has an incredible relationship with her professor, who basically is her like pseudo father figure throughout this film. It kind of borders along the lines of fantasy, you know. Again, like, this is I don't know if this is something that Sorrentino does in all his films, but he takes really big swings and has some dreamlike sequences in this movie that just show you some incredible imagery. And then there's other things that are grounded in reality that just feel completely aberrant and strange and weird. And there is some tough, challenging storylines here with sexuality. Like, this Parthenope is so beautiful. Her brother can't help but have these like ancestral thoughts about what it would be like to be with her. Her first love is someone else who like lives in her family's villa with her. He's the son of their housemaid. And so it's a movie that scratches a couple of different itches. Like, it looks like The Talented Mr. Ripley. It's a coming of age story, the way that Call Me by Your Name feels. Just like, and whether you can relate to the protagonist, your main characters, like personal journey or not, it reminds me a lot of that. And then the other one that I think the characters most closely resemble is The Worst Person in the World, the Joachim Trier film from a few years ago. I was getting real. I saw a lot of similarities between this film and this movie. Now, I don't want to be irresponsible and just blindly recommend this film without also acknowledging some things that I've learned about Paolo Sorrentino that are mostly anecdotal. But like, you go and you read the top rated reviews, and I put this in my Letterboxd review, which was quite extensive, but because this movie's, it had a great impact on me. And so I want to be responsible when talking about it, but also like the criticisms that I've read, I just don't see. Everything is talking about how Sorrentino, for his entire career, has always put the female characters in his movie. He's always shot them through the male gaze and not necessarily like objectified them, but been in a place where he doesn't really fully develop characters outside of maybe what their purpose is aesthetically on film. What he's doing in this movie, which people are thinking like he isn't aware of the fact that like you can't just then make your whole movie about some beautiful woman and have the entire story be about her beauty and think that like you're escaping the male gaze, like you're still doing it. I think he's in on it and he understands. He's making a film about a woman who's named after a Greek myth, right? That lures people to their death via their beauty. And so, of course, this movie is going to be about that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's something that I'm still kind of wrestling with. I also don't know like how many people truly care, and if like the 10 reviews that I've read negatively that are at the top of Letterboxd are just some from some keyboard warriors who like need to get out and touch grass and understand that like
Need to go to the Italian coast.
this is what art is supposed to do.
Right.
And so I don't know, totally passes the vibe check. The whole movie, a coming of age story, for it to be effective, I think needs to be something universal that feels like a memory. And this movie feels like you're watching someone's memories. And I love it for that. And so this movie is available to stream right now on HBO Max. I highly recommend it. This is such a good movie to start. If you've just like, you're burnt out, it's maybe a Sunday, it's sunny out though, and you're just kind of like, I don't have it in me, just like make some food, do a charcuterie board, do something where you can just like snack your way through this movie on a sunny day at 2:00 where you yourself feel kind of like washed in color. And it's a great time. Like this movie is really, really, really good. And it's going to stick with me for a long time. It's kind of a knockout. So Parthenope,
I
highly
love that.
recommend it.
Parthenope, throwing it on the list, the watch list. I think my number 2 is probably your number 1.
Okay. So we
Uh,
can have that conversation now about Eddington.
yeah, Eddington. We just did a whole episode on this movie. So I would encourage people to go back and watch that or listen to that.
You could watch or listen.
Watch or listen. I don't know if is that one
Oh,
up?
didn't get
I
on
don't
the
know.
tubes.
I've been so bad, listeners, about getting this YouTube up and running. I do have a little bit more time working from home now, but hopefully I can get some of the backlog up on video. But yeah, Eddington, again, just like a movie that has so many different layers to
Mhm.
it, that has so much to say but not say at you, right? It's strange, it's funny, it's dark,
Yeah.
it is extremely brutal, and just in the best Ari Aster way that he tends to do. And then he drapes it in a Western setting. He gets big movie stars to come in and play big parts and leading parts, as Pedro Pascal or Joaquin Phoenix does, but then also in supporting roles like Austin Butler and,
Mhm.
and Emma Stone. Um, it's just, again, much like like Black Bag, like it is just a straight up adult drama with a master storyteller. And I don't think it's hyperbole to say Ari is already a master, um, because he writes and he directs and he knows exactly what he wants, and
Yeah.
his movies are exactly him. So just a great movie that, again, I think also, as I was talking about Mickey 17 earlier, will continue to grow in years to come. And I think, honestly, I think Mickey 17 and Eddington, have things to say to each other, right? Like I think Bonju is doing his style of what Ari is also doing in Eddington.
Mm.
Or at least, they both have something to say about our current time. Or the moment in time. So yeah, I love Eddington. A movie that I continue to think about too, right? Like that's always the
Yeah.
mark of a good film. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think all
been
five,
lingering.
yeah, lingering movies are the best.
It's been lingering with me since I've seen it as well. And I think the part of the filmmaking process behind the movie that I've learned more about just from like seeing Instagram reels of Ari talking during different interviews about the film and the production, and so many people are interested in and when he started to develop this movie and how much of his real feel and how much of his own feelings are in the film. And what I've really come to admire about Ari is that he is so articulate in the way that he talks about how he sometimes doesn't know how something is going to work or land because it's all up here, right? It's all in his head, and he doesn't really know until he puts it out there how it's going to land. He knows what it's going to look like. He knows what it's going to sound like. Because you're right, he is already a master at his craft. But it's so interesting to hear him say things like, well, I didn't know if anybody else was experiencing these feelings that I was having back in 2020. And so I needed to tell a story about that. And it's like, it'd be easy just to say like, well, yeah, dude, like, of course you would know that everyone else is feeling these themes of isolation and yada, yada, yada. But it's all the other stuff that he explores in this movie about memory and about grief and about time through these different characters that you're like, he did not just tell a story about life during the pandemic. He told a story about each and every single one of these different characters in
Right.
this movie. And it's so impressive that he's able to do both at the same time. And so I've really grown to appreciate this movie even more, which I already had rated at a 5, because this is my favorite kind of filmmaking. Like the duality of this storytelling in this movie is just so impressive. Like the script is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And it's got, and again, just got some great shots in it too. Like I think
It's
about
funny because
watching
it's like
Eating in
minimalist.
Line.
I feel like
Yeah,
the visual style is very minimalist, but like we talked about on the
but
episode
also
a couple
grand.
weeks ago, it's like watching Kubrick. Like everything in the frame is there for a reason, and it's been positioned to face the camera at a certain angle. Like it
Yeah.
is. The shots are incredible.
Yeah,
What were those scenes?
the moment when Joaquin gets in line to go into the grocery store, and he is just like he's like pushed to the far right of the frame, and just this giant mural of Pedro Pascal is
Yeah,
behind him, and there's people in front of him, some are wearing masks, some aren't, and like his look of disgust and annoyance, like I'm going to ape that.
yeah,
I want to put
yeah.
that exact shot. I love that framing. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, Eddington's it's a 5-star movie. If you haven't seen it yet, go out, find it. Still in theaters for a couple more weeks, I would assume. So again,
Yeah.
highly recommended from the two of us.
Yeah. And then my number one movie was your number four,
Yeah.
which is Sinners.
Hmm.
And if Eddington is your favorite kind of like filmmaking, storytelling movie in general, Sinners is mine. Like it.
So I think I just want to pause real quick because I think this is, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time where you and I have really been able on air to have a discussion about Sinners together.
I believe so, because
Yeah.
you saw it. You didn't get to see it in
I
theaters.
did not see it in theaters. No.
Yeah. And so and again, the more I've thought about Sinners, like the fact that Ryan Coogler was able to make half of a Michael Mann movie and half of a John Carpenter movie and smash them together is it's just fantastic genre
Mhm.
movie making. And I'm a huge genre guy. Like those are the stories I love. That's the kind of movies, that's the kind of stuff I, strive to make. Um, and or work on. And yeah, I just think Sinners is just such a fun watch and such a thrilling action movie, but also has horror tropes in it. It it honestly feels like such a Carpenter like coded movie,
Mhm.
which is probably why I really really love it. And it's gory in all the right ways. It's sexy. It's it also has like backstory that you want to know more about. It's got great performances. It looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. I just think Sinners is kind of just the marriage, again, the marriage of like, I don't even know if you can call it prestige, but like it's it's a perfect blend of what you want to see in the theater.
So for my experience with Sinners, having not seen it in the theater, not being part of a big crowd, which part of me regrets, of course, but another part of me is really excited. I'm happy that I waited until I could watch it at home and have the ability, not that I paused and got up and did other things or looked at a second screen, of course, but like just being able to like really lay there and kind of almost like talk out loud to with myself during some scenes was really great because I feel like I almost watched the movie at like 75% speed. Like everything was just a little bit slower for me as it maybe would have if it might not have been that way in the theater. It might have felt more propulsive and faster. And so
Right.
especially that first hour really washed over me and just like just soaked through my
Mm,
skin, and I wanted to see a whole movie of that,
yeah. Yeah.
of the two brothers as crime figures returning to this town that they grew up in here in the South, and the different interpersonal relationships that they have, and are they going to be followed by organized crime from Al Capone's gang in Chicago, and is there going to be even more of a mob element to this movie? Like I was so interested in that, and like there's no one else to blame. Because I gave this movie a 4.5 out of 5, there is like 10% where I am like blaming Ryan, because I am like, you showed us something so awesome and
Yeah.
then you kind of took it away from us for this vampire story, which, and I put this in my review, thematically I think is so interesting and doing what horror should be doing and has been doing at the highest level for decades and decades and decades, and that is exploring challenges and tough conversations in society. And so for him to set a vampire movie in the Jim Crow era in the South, and then you take everything we know about vampirism and how he uses it as a metaphor for like actually being able to take autonomy over your body, and you're not owned as a slave anymore. You are something else now, right? You are a slave to eternity. You are
Mm,
someone who now can never die and never escape this. But the ideas and the way that the vampires, are talking to everybody at this party that Michael B. Jordan is throwing, he's saying like, here's your liberation, come with me and
yeah.
we will rise above all of this and we will outlive all of this. And I think that that is so interesting and so smart, and something that I'm sure in his, like, I know Spike Lee is a huge fan of this movie. I haven't heard too many other like prominent black filmmakers talk about the film, but I'm sure they are all in awe of what Ryan was able to do by bringing these two different ideas together in a genre picture. But then that's where, once we become a vampire genre movie and it is all about the action, then that's where the movie, I think, just like it, we take a step back a little bit and just um I think I just felt the struggle between like wanting to make an action movie and a vampire movie versus this really prestigious, really heady, really interesting drama that was starting to play out and that was playing out so well. And so it is this balance of spectacle that I still think, listen, like it's a minus for me. It's
Right.
obviously still in my top 5 for the year. But gosh, is it a movie that really makes you think, and you don't even have to get that deep into it. Like you can almost wait out the first hour and then get to the John Carpenter vampires nature of it all, where we are playing on lore and on vampire rules that we know and that we love as fans of the genre, of like, they need to be invited in, you know, they're getting like garlic water, they're getting wooden stakes sharpened, like it turns into From Dusk Till Dawn basically in the final act, and that's awesome. But yeah, when we go from the fastball to the slider, I couldn't hit that slider every time. And so I still love the movie, but haven't really gotten a chance outside of my Letterboxd review to like to talk about or to write about the film. And so those are my thoughts on Sinners. And I, again, still think that it's an incredible movie and worth every single bit of the praise and acclaim and the box office result of the film. I think it's just amazing that this movie did as well as it did. And in a way that I don't feel like is for any sort of cash grab or any sort of, you know, like, we're not trying to turn this into a franchise, but I love the coda at the end in the way that the door is left open for this story to continue. If Coogler and if Michael B. Jordan wanted to, and Haley Steinfeld, she would obviously be involved if you've seen sort of the post-credit scene. So I love it for that. I think it did just about everything as good as you can possibly do it.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, again, like, it is two movies, right? Like, if it was just a vampire film from start to finish, like, I think it would be a good film. If it was just the crime drama that it is in the first half, I think it'd be a good film.
I think it could be a great film if it was just that.
And I think to me, being able to put those two together, and I think seamlessly, pretty, intertwine them, uh, to me is what makes it so special. And yes, I do think, you know, the action. I like the initial, like, rushing into the barn and the fight there, but then, like, when we're out in the water and all that stuff, it gets a little, B movie, but, like, I think that's what it's trying to do.
Again, intentional. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a great film. Great film. Can't wait to own it on Blu.
There is a 4K out there already. I do know
Ooh,
this.
baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's just on the outside looking in for you?
So Warfare
Yep.
is right
Yep.
up there. Alex Garland's
My number 8 right now.
Yeah, it's sitting at number 6 for me. Mickey 17, as I mentioned, is at my 7 spot. The Life of Chuck and The Ballad of Wallace Island. Too much, like, just sentimental, life is beautiful, real
Feel
character
goods.
study. Yeah, feel good arc movies that I've really enjoyed. And, like, I think in years past probably would have been further down on my list, but I don't know if I'm just getting softer each year. But both of these movies, I think, really, really grabbed me. The Ballad of Wallace Island is one I watched just last night, and it is in my top 10. It is a absolute love letter to, like, folk music of the early 2000s, like the Head and the Heart, the Avett Brothers. And that is music that just, like, I love.
Yes.
Also, interestingly enough, Tim was his name. I think his name Tim Story or Tim Key. Tim Key, who is one of the leads in The Ballad of Wallace Island, also wrote the movie. He might have directed it as well. He is seen as the Pigeon Man in Mickey 17. If you remember the guy in the pigeon suit.
Yeah.
So that guy's having a good year. And then number 10 is Presence, which is the other Soderbergh movie from this year. So that kind of rounds out my top 10. How about you?
Yeah, I had Warfare in there. I have F1 in there.
Mhm.
I also have hanging around another movie I saw very early on in the year. The 10 spot is The Gorge. I love The Gorge for being as schlocky and as silly and as
Should have been
action
in
packed
theaters, man.
as,
It
and it
really
should
should
have
have
been
been.
in theaters. I think that movie would have had much longer legs had it have gotten a wider release. And then rounding out the top 10 is a film that I watched just last night that I I won't say I let the expectations get the better of me because I still really enjoyed it. But I do think I was looking for something like capital S special, and this movie still is special, but it just didn't quite hit the reach. Or I don't know if it hit its ceiling, and that's The Ugly Stepsister, the movie that
Mhm.
I've been promising to watch for months now. Finally got around to it. It's available on Shutter. A German film that I did not know this going into it, but it it is like it is the Substance meets Cinderella. So
Mm.
it's a very dark, grim fairy tale that takes place in this fairy tale world where there is um, a a mother with three daughters. Two of them are her own. The most beautiful of the three daughters is the daughter of her late husband who dies right after they marry. And so the Cinderella character in this movie is actually not our main protagonist. We are with one of Cinderella's stepsisters who is getting this pressure from Cinderella's stepmother to marry the prince of the ball because the family has not married into money the way that they thought that they did. And so there is great body horror in this movie. It takes place, not that I think the fairy tale Cinderella has any time period on it, but this is like Victorian era, gowns and balls and princes and princesses and things of that nature. And so the technology, especially in the medical field, not where it is today. And so when the ugly stepsister needs a rhinoplasty, when she needs a nose job, it is wild. When she goes to get eyelash extensions, they are sewn in and we
Oh,
see it. When
oh.
she needs to lose weight, guess what? There's no Ozempic, and so she's eating a tapeworm, and this tapeworm is growing inside of her as she's eating whatever she wants and still losing weight. The face that Max is making right now is the face I was making while watching it, but also letting out like the oh my gods, like this movie's a ton of fun. Like it's a great time. And so I don't know. I'm gonna sit with it for a little while because I actually just finished it this morning before we popped on to record this episode. So very fresh in my mind, a top 10 movie from the year, pretty comfortably, but just not. I don't know. In some ways, not what I expected. I still think that it's really well executed. But again, I don't know what the ceiling for a film like this is necessarily. But and I haven't written a review of it yet. So I'll kind of think through it here. But I feel like it came up a little bit short, but still a really, really good time. With another international,
Who's the
film that I
who's the
don't think
director?
necessarily fits into the horror genre. It's more body horror and
Yeah.
like dark comedy. Um,
Substance
and
like.
and it's substance like it is. It really is. So if you have the stomach for it, I can definitely recommend The Ugly Stepsister now, having finally seen it.
I wonder if I wonder if the writer spent a lot of time here in LA because it seems to be attacking beauty standards and,
Oh, 100% is. Yeah. Yeah. It's really fun. It's a good one. It is.
Cool.
Um, okay, so as for what's next here on the pod, Max and I will be briefly discussing the new film together, which
Oh, wait,
is
do we wanna check in on some movies that are still to come?
a couple more anticipation ones. Yeah, let's throw a few titles out there. Thanks for stopping me. I mean, I already mentioned, I guess I'll pull up the watch list here so that I can give everybody their 15 seconds of fame. And this is going back. This is like I should have I should have found time to watch this. I still need to watch The Shrouds by David Cronenberg to
Yeah.
see where that film lies by the end of the year. But oh my gosh, dude, my watch list is so funny when I look at the stuff that's still just like hanging around on here and when I added things. It's really funny. So the Park Chan-wook film. I'll start with the Pedro Almodovar film, actually, The Room Next Door, which technically is a 2024 release, but I don't think it's been released on video yet or on demand here in the United States. And so need to watch that movie. I'm going to count that as a 2025 release. Julia Ducournau's Alpha, which I know didn't play all that well. It can, but I'm a Julia Ducournau defender until she proves me otherwise. I think she just makes incredible films. So really looking forward to that. And then, yeah, what is the Jim Jarmusch? My brother, sister, father, mother.
Yeah, father, mother, sister, brother.
Yes, thank you. And then once I keep scrolling through here, there's a lot of random stuff. There's still some Christmas cringe that I have on my watch list. I need to get that off of here. Let's see. Where is this new Park Chan-wook film? Do you have the title of it?
Yes. No Other Choice.
No Other Choice. Thank you. Yeah. It's my big one for the year right there.
I think the next big one for me is Weapons.
And Weapons. Yes. Yes.
I'm very stoked for that. Again, just like a very like we got kids, evil kids running around. Feels very Stephen King, very John Carpenter.
And Krager is like he's in our good graces right now.
Right. Ballad of a Small Player by Edward Berger, who did Conclave last year and
All Quiet on the Western Front.
It's a high stakes gambler decides to lay low in Macau, starring Colin Farrell as your poker player. Very excited for that. Begonia, another Yorgos movie starring Emma Stone is coming. Hopefully, soonish. It's all about conspiracy and kind of like a kidnapping of a high-powered CEO, which I can't wait for. The Running Man.
Yeah.
Like I think it's just going to be a great time. Glenn Powell, Edgar Wright, science fiction, dystopian. It's just right up my alley. I know we've talked about PTA and One Battle After Another. We've got movies coming from both Safdie brothers this year. The Smashing Machine, which I hope is good, and
that photos look pretty cool. The Rock looks great.
Maybe we're actually turning a corner here, and he wants to be in good stuff. And then Marty Supreme from the other the Smashing Machine is Benny Safdie, and then from Josh Safdie is Marty Supreme, supposed to come out in December, starring Timmy Shams. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. I think is supposed to come out this year from our guy Gore Verbinski.
Yeah.
Who we haven't seen in a long time.
I also have I need to organize this. I wonder if there's a way to organize by year, but I also found Him. I'm really looking forward to Him from director Justin Tipping, and this is the new Monkey Paw production, Jordan Peele's production company. So I think that's going to be a really interesting movie, kind of set in the world of maybe not the NFL, but in professional football at least.
Right. Jay Kelly by Noah Baumbach. George Clooney, Adam Sandler, Laura Dern, Billy Crudup are the top 4 booked on that. That's going to be great. I Want Your Sex, Greg Araki. I just started getting into some of his stuff from the 90s, and he's a very fun filmmaker. So I'm excited for some wildness in that. Del Toro's Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Big Jim is still to come this year, guys.
I
Avatar
watched the trailer. Did you watch the
Iron
trailer?
Ass. I did. It looks, like every Avatar trailer, it just looks extremely stupid and silly.
Here's the thing. I was talking to our friend Blaine about James Cameron the other day because he said he heard or saw an Instagram reel where it was like, doesn't this suck that just like where James Cameron is just like wasting 15 years, 20 years of his life making these Avatar movies when he could be doing so much more. I rebutted with this is what he does though. These are the kind of movies he makes. Like he has lived in IP and in big blockbusters. Going back to Terminator 2, which I think people love the most, out of his. You maybe say something like True Lies is a bit more original, but like the Titanic is only as good as its movie stars make it. Like that movie is just a 70s disaster film, shot with the advances of CGI that we had in 1997. And I argued that if you put, he was the good fortune of casting Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie, I think has helped that film's legacy immensely, because whenever I see someone go back and watch Titanic now, everyone's like, this CGI hasn't held up. And of course, like, you can't hold that against it. It looks good now, but like, it's the movie stars. It's Kate Winslet and it's Leonardo DiCaprio, because that very easily could have been, and not that this would have made it worse, but that could have been Matt Damon, or in a way that it would have made it worse, that could have been Mark Wahlberg. That could have been so many other people. And if you're watching Titanic now, you're sort of just like, And so I don't think that Jim staying in the Avatar franchise is somehow robbing us of like, him making a 1917 or an All Quiet on the Western Front or some other big action, epic, historical war film or something else like that. Like, this is what he wants to do. He's obsessed with water. He is he is
Really, all the elements.
Fire,
He's
obsessed
air.
with the earth. And so let James do what he wants to do is my stance.
Yeah, and listen, everyone can talk shit on it. Guess what? It's probably going to be the third highest grossing movie behind the other two.
Yeah. That's the thing. That was the other thing. Someone said that, like, I read on, I think I was on Reddit and saw a comment that someone was like, well, Disney's just going to keep letting him make these movies because they're easy cash grabs. And I'm like, they are, but they aren't. These movies cost like $250 million to make. Like, he's leveraging an insane production budget in hopes to make at least, $500 million on these movies, which they make, but like that's incredible that these are the dollar figures that were thrown out.
Yeah. And then the last one I'll throw out is After the Hunt, a new Luca Guadagnino movie.
That's right. Wow. Yeah. Great year still to come.
Julia Roberts.
Huge year.
Yeah. Andrew Garfield. And it's about a sex scandal at a college. I'm in.
That's great. Okay, so now for next week's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Together, and then we're going to spend some time reviewing and frankly criticizing the recently published New York Times top 100 films of the 21st century. Max, this was an episode idea that you came up with. You've already had a chance to go through the list, kind of highlight some films that you haven't seen, maybe find some talking points already. What do you expect from this episode?
Listen, there's what does a list do other than make us mad and debate, which is why we love a list.
Yes.
There are some filmmakers that are omitted from this list that I think, need to be talked about. I think, there's, someone who I love, Steven Spielberg, I think only has one movie on this list. Like, I'm sorry, did Spielberg only make one movie in the 21st century? I don't think so. I know he's a big 20th century guy, and a lot of his, I think some of his Hall of Fame stuff is in that 20th century, but there's more than one. I think we could have got on here. Also, I do love that there could have been a lot more crap. I feel like they do a pretty good job of even though they're oh wow, I just saw one number 52. Like I can't believe that's number 52 already. But I think they do a pretty good job of trying to grab international films, doing big films, but then also doing the smaller, more indie films as
Yeah.
well.
At first
Um,
blush, the international component was something that I had a problem with, but the more I'm looking at this list now, I feel like there's decent representation.
I think there's good representation. I think there's some like number 25, I think is extremely high. And maybe I've just been Alex pilled over the years by doing this podcast with you.
No, that's too high.
I also, you know, but I also think 13 is unbelievable that it should not be number 13.
No,
But
good Lord,
um,
no.
yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of good stuff to kind of dig into here.
A lot to chew
Um,
on for sure.
yeah, so it'll be really interesting. If I have time, I'll try and do some more like data. Maybe try and get like some, how many times or like repeat filmmakers on here
Yeah, yeah.
or maybe genre stuff, whatever. I'll try and get some more data out of this list, but
We love numbers.
love a list, and I think it's a good time to talk about it. I together. I'm really anticipating Together. I think it's going to be a great horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of body horror stuff in that, but I think right now, less homework feels good, and so for us to just kind of go through this and dig into it will be great.
Yeah. August is fun because August is sort of the dumping grounds of summer. So we'll be getting
Oh, we have
creative
a
over the
Predator
next
movie
month.
coming out in August.
What's
Can't
that?
wait. Also, a Predator movie coming out in August.
Yeah, Badlands. That's right.
Badlands.
That'll be
Yeah.
great. That'll be awesome. Chloe Grace Moretz pod incoming.
Ellie Fanning.
Oh, is that who it is?
Yeah.
Oh, dang, that's a bummer. Okay, well, good for her.
we could examine their filmography and see how many movies we could swap them.
Swap, yeah. It would be a lot. So until next time, please follow Excuse the Intermission on Instagram and the two of us on Letterboxd to track what we're watching between shows. And we'll talk to you next time on ETI, where movies still matter.